Long time ago, when I was in school, many years ago, there was a mean teacher. She was a 4th grade teacher, and she was so mean. She was so mean, everybody hated her. And her name was Mrs. Fartbaggins. Mrs. Fartbaggins. And she was a beast of a teacher. She was mean as can be. And anybody who was near her would run away before they could be seen, because if she so much as looked at you, you were in detention for a week. Everybody hated her, everybody was scared of her, and she was mean. Mean as can be out there, I tell you what. You'd be in that hallway, and she'd come around that corner, she'd go, "I see you, detention!" And you'd go, "Blah, blah, blah. More detention! What am I doing? More detention for months!" And that's how mean she was. And she was evil. And nobody liked her much. And so, everybody tried to stay away from her. Nobody liked being in her class. Would always try to get transferred out of her class. But, every school has mean teachers, right? Everybody has teachers they don't like. Well, when I was in 6th grade, I had a not so bad teacher. I had a not so bad teacher. She was fairly nice, and she wore her dresses, and her name was Miss Heavy Chesties. And everybody wanted to be in her class. Everybody wanted to be in her class, but nobody wanted to be in Miss Farty Bottom's class. And so, when we were in 6th grade, the 6th grade teacher says, "Oh, wouldn't it be a good idea if the school had a time capsule?" And you go, "A time capsule? What's a time capsule?" Because 6th graders don't know what a time capsule is. We're just kids after all. And so we got all the kids from all the school to paint pretty pictures, to do diagrams, and to do knickknacks, and bring things that are all important to them, and put them all in this time capsule to be buried for 57 years. And so we did, and it was pretty cool, and we buried it out front. And then we went on our way, and that was 57 years ago, a long time ago. And I remember just a little bit about that time, that at the end of the school year, Miss Fartbaggins was gone. They said she must have quit and left town out of some more reason. They put a substitute in there, and they never knew where she went. She was gone. And so all the kids after that didn't have to worry about evil Mrs. Fartbaggins. And life was good for all the rest of the kids, all forever. And you know what happened this week? The 57 years had passed, and they dug up our time capsule. They did. They dug it up right out front. And you know what they found? They found pretty pictures of rainbows, drawings of kids, drawings of teachers, popsicle stick models of the school. They found toys. They found all sorts of good stuff. And down in the bottom of the box, down in the bottom of the time capsule, there was a black box. Oh, it was about that big by about that wide, that big, about that wide, this black box. And it had a lock on the box, and Nobody knew the combination, nobody knew the key, and so they had to get a hammer and a chisel, and they pow, 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 they broke the lock off the box. And they opened up the box, and everybody screamed. They went, "Ow!" And you know what was in that box? Do you really want to know what was inside that box? It was the head of Miss Baggins. Somebody had chopped her head off and put it in the time capsule. Wasn't that stupid of them? Well, it wasn't really stupid of them because they went 57 years without getting caught. But you know what the really bad part was? The kid who chopped her head off and put it in the box put a little note in there and says, "Ha ha ha, I did this," and he signed his name, Hugh Gas. And Hugh was the prankster of the school. And he signed the paper, Hugh Gas. And so the police went and they knocked on the door and they said, "Mr. Ass?" And he says, "Yes." And they said, "Your name's Hugh?" And he says, "Yes." And they said, "Were you at the school?" And he said, "Yes." He says, "Well, Hugh Gas, you're under arrest for killing Mrs. Baggins." And he said, "How do you know I did that? That was a long time ago." He said, "You shouldn't have signed the paper, you dumbass." And they arrested him, and they put him in jail, and they put her head on display at the top of the flagpole so that everybody would remember that crime doesn't pay. But really, what everybody is just remembering is if you're a teacher, you don't want to be a mean ass.